35,000 euros. The season was an unbelievable success. It was probably one of the best times I've ever had. This is what the investor was very interested in. But when you go behind the scenes, a unique opportunity, got a lot of hate, the hardest couple weeks of my life. So long story short, basically what happened was there were many talks with the investor. He was asking me what was going on. Obviously, we were trying to handle a lot of things behind the scenes with the local municipality and making sure that everyone agreed on the same vision. Unfortunately, there were a lot of disagreements and we were unable to come to a conclusion to the proper agreement, to the proper mission and vision that was set at the beginning of the project. I think that's just the nature of business, the nature of sport, and the nature of communication in international places. When you don't all speak the same language and you're not all used to the same culture, sometimes it's hard to agree on the same thing. So basically what happened was there was a lot of disagreements, and what I had to do is, obviously I was the spokesperson between the municipality, where we needed to play, where we needed the stadium, where we needed to really gain the locals' trust and the locals' attention. I was a spokesperson between them and the investor. So the investor was willing to donate between 200 to 300,000 towards the project, but what he needed to see trust within the operation, so he can put his money there and he can actually see a return on the investment, and that he's not just putting his money in there and wasting all that money. So what happened was, unfortunately, not everyone saw eye to eye at the end of the project, and I kept relating it to the investor, and he was telling me, oh, Eric, I'm losing trust. I don't think this is a good idea. And what I kept doing is I kept reiterating the purpose and why we thought Latvia was a great place to invest and why we thought Yermo was a great place to invest. But at the end of the day, what happened was this guy lost trust, and on January 29th, couple days before preseason, I did fly. I was due to fly to Latvia on January 31st. He pulled out of the whole deal. So what we were working on, what this idea came to thought in my mind 3 years ago when I first started over there, when I was talking to my buddy, we put a lot of money into it. We put a lot of energy into it. Unfortunately, the reality of the game, the reality of business is he pulled out, lost trust, didn't see an ROI on the investment that he put in, and he pulled out of the whole deal. And that's just the nature of the thing. The unfortunate part, and for me, where it was so hard and where I felt so guilty, it's very tough on players. They think they have something. They think they have a contract. We didn't sign any contracts yet, so there wasn't actually a promise there. There was a gentleman's thing, but it's something that I couldn't control. At the end of the day, myself, the investment group that I put together, did our best to make this thing go through, and we thought it was going to go through. We thought it was going to come to fruition. We had everything aligned. We had everything set aside. One thing I also forgot to mention is I partnered with a great company, Kono. Hopefully we partner together with them in the future, but I got put in touch with them by a trusted contact who saw how hard I work, how consistent I am on my media and in my businesses. And when I started this project, he actually wanted to put 50,000 in right away. But what we wanted to do is we wanted to make sure this thing is going through before he puts the money in. So what he did is he connected me with a local Canadian brand, and they already did all of our uniforms. Not our game kits, but they did our training kits, and they were actually in Yermo when I got there on January 31st. Unfortunately, we couldn't work with them, and the unfortunate part is I haven't spoken to them in a bit, so maybe they completely lost trust in me, and that's just part of it, and that was the tough part. But the reality is the reality. We had 14 players ready to come in. We had 2 players flying over from the US. We had the coach and his wife living in an apartment. They're ready for the preseason to start on February 5th. And throughout probably 14 days when all these disagreements and fights and arguments were going on, I spent 3 to 4 hours sleeping per night trying to figure this out. What's going on? What is going on here? Trying to do my best for everything to work out so everyone could be happy and we could take this club to the first league, which was the goal at the initial part, and really give players that opportunity to play at the next level. But that's just the unfortunate truth. Like I said, I think Latvia is still an unbelievable place for footballers to go and play. But right now, and in 2024, it's not my year to take over a club, especially in Latvia. And unfortunately, just all the partners involved in the deal weren't actually aligned. Maybe words, were aligned in the beginning, but when it actually came down to really getting the deal sealed and ready, people pulled out. People pulled back their promises. People pulled back their words. And that's just the reality of business. That's the reality of life. And I learned a lot. Lost a lot of time, lost a lot of energy, but I think everything is meant to happen for a reason. And that's just the reality of the game. But like I said, I think Latvia is an excellent place. One of the best parts as well that I forgot to mention in the beginning of the video is 8 out of the 11 players in the starting 11, both in the Versliga and Nākotnes, the first and the second tier, can be foreign players. So this shows that it can be an excellent market for agents, for potential guys to get themselves in there at a young age, develop, and then be able to push on to other countries, to new ventures. So like I said, due to all the disagreements, I had to tell all the players, I had to tell the coach that the deal was off. To their credit, the manager, the players, the coach, they were trying to see, how we can make this thing work out. But unfortunately, when the main money guy pulls out, when the investor pulls out and salaries can't be paid, apartments can't be paid, equipment can't be bought, buses can't be paid for, meals can't be paid for, the whole thing is off. And that's just the unfortunate truth. And for me, that day was very, very tough. I think that day when I made those calls was actually the day, I think it was January 30th, when I was making that flight to go back to Latvia. And it was just, I just had no power on the day, just breaking the news to all the guys, the coach, the manager. Everyone was set on this goal. They were set on this mission. They believed in me, the vision and the mission, but I did the best I could. I set everything up the best I could. Unfortunately, everything fell through. I think it shows that I really did my best, and as you know, I want the best for the football community. But yeah, I've learned a lot. I'm super grateful for my entire experience, and what I want to do is I want to give back to the game and help young footballers not make the same mistakes I made. Use the successes that I've had to their advantage, take the mistakes that I've made and not make those same mistakes. So what I'm trying to do with my team is we're trying to build the ultimate online education platform. I get a lot of messages day in, day out from players that they're not in the right environment, they don't have the right academy, they don't have the right coaches. So now there's no excuses. We're gonna be providing all that education in our platform. And if you decide to subscribe and you decide to come with us, you're gonna find out how to do it. Everything that you're gonna need to be a pro player is gonna be in that academy. You can get all the tips that I've learned over these 9 years playing overseas, over studying for 14 years, self-development, how to improve yourself as a human, after coaching about 500 players online, including 50 pros. Just stay tuned. We are on to new things. We are on to new ventures, and we're gonna do our best to move these forward as quickly as possible to help you out. But just know my mission at the end of the day is to give you the best education overall to make yourself a better person and a better player when match day comes around, and then to be better in your relationships, to be better in your overall community. So what I wanna do within our stuff is I want to build that community that you can always rely on, and whatever problem you're having, you can find within our stuff. If you want to get more in depth with me, you go the one-on-one coaching route, and then we get more in depth. I personalize everything to you. I analyze your game analysis. I analyze everything you're doing, your diet, and I make sure these are at the pro standards. Yeah, this has been actually almost like a psychology session for me. I've wanted to get all this stuff off my chest, and like I said, I think I've covered everything. Hope you enjoyed this. Thank you so much for being here. If you liked the video, make sure you hit that like button, make sure you smash that subscribe, and make sure you turn on those noties to see what else is going on behind the scenes with Rick Fit. Anyways, we would not be here without you, so I appreciate you a lot. Love you guys. Deuces.